Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to make this fun illustration of an elf using some brand new markers that are actually just hitting stores now. I actually did this sketch a couple months ago, but I couldn't share it because the markers weren't available, and I know how disappointing it is to see something that you might want and you can't get them. So I held off showing them until now. I started off with a quick sketch with a really pale peach marker. I did an oval for the face, and then I just drew guidelines so that I could line up my eyes, nose, and mouth easily. It's always better to go in with a really broad sketch to start off with, because if you draw one perfect eyeball, it can be really hard to get the other eyeball to match. So that's my little trick for getting everything to line up. Of course, after you get everything in, you can start to go in with your darker colors. Now, these markers are by Royal and Langnickel, and they have very affordable art products, and I wanted to kind of wait to share them just in case they hit stores. I know people will be asking me about them, and I can kind of give you a little overview and review here as you watch this little speed sketch. So the colors are super juicy. They blend really well. The markers are triangular, so they don't want to roll off your work surface, which is really nice. The name of these markers is Azure, A-Z-U-R-E. So if you do see them, you'll know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm using the Royal and Langnickel marker paper as well, so they blend really well on that. They'll blend really well on any marker cardstock that you like. The set that I'm using mostly here is a set called Complexion, and that includes 12 hair and skin tones. Oh, and the neat thing about all of their packs of markers is every single pack comes with a clear blending marker. So if you find that you're always running out of your blending markers, or they're always going dry before your other markers, these sets have you covered because they have a new blending marker in every kit. So that's kind of handy. And I'm just kind of playing on this marker paper. It's a really thin paper. I feel like the ink sits kind of on top of it really well, so it takes longer to dry, so you have more time to kind of blend and play with your colors. There isn't like a bazillion colors here either, so I am just using what I have to blend, and I'm finding it's working pretty well. I don't use the clear blending marker as much for blending as I do for like lightening colors up, like if I need to put in a highlight or erase a mistake. So keep that in mind if you're new to markers. The blenders are more of like a lifter or an eraser than they are for actually blending. I find you get a better result blending if you grab a color that is close to it. So if I had like this like citrus green color here and I wanted to blend it, I would grab another shade of green and I would work into it. I generally find the lighter colors are better to go over the darker colors to pull and blend the color out, but I also find that if you color everything in with your lighter tone, then go in with your darker and medium tones, and then your light tone again, you can get some really nice blended effects. And you can like let something dry and then go over it like I am with this darker color and keep some line work. So if you want it not to blend, let the markers dry and then just don't overwork too much. Just kind of go in with some quick lines. If you want to blend, just keep coloring over that area until your colors merge the way you want. And here I'm going in with a brighter spring green and getting some of those darker colors in the green hair that I wanted. So just keep in mind, if you don't want blending, let it dry. If you do want blending, work in there when it's wet. Now, the nice thing about alcohol pens or any like dye-based markers is that they're transparent. So if you don't have a bazillion colors, you can layer your colors up, and the colors that are underneath are going to show through those the colors that you put on top. So they're all gonna start to overlay and blend and match that way because they're transparent. So it's kind of like using a lip gloss instead of a matte lipstick. It's going to show the color underneath. And I'm just having a lot of fun layering and building these colors. So I sped this up, obviously. So this illustration took me about 35 minutes, all said and done. I am going to be layering in some other media on top, so I just wanted to kind of show you how the markers look on their own, what you're seeing right now, and then also how they'll look as we layer on some other materials. So I guess my review of this product would be that I think they're really good quality. I don't know what the price of these are going to be right off the bat, but I did want to let you know about these so when they hit stores, you'll be prepared to know if it's something you want or not. I do find that I have a lot of good control here. One end is a bullet tip, which is what I use the most. The other end is a chisel tip, which is good for filling in really broad areas of color or forcing a blend if your marker colors don't want to merge up. And like using the clear blender, if you need to erase a mistake, use that chisel end. That's going to give you a little more force and help you erase or lift colors a little bit easier. So if you're looking for a brush tip marker, this is not it. But I do like the bullet and the chisel tip that are in here. I think they give me a nice crisp design, and I'm really happy with them. The nibs also feel high quality and firm. I don't feel like they're going to soften up and get kind of feathered out and frayed out on you, which is nice. So here I'm using a gel pen, and I'm just adding little opaque highlights and blending them with my finger. That's a technique I like to do for skin because it gives you a much nicer highlight sometimes than going in with a blender, which might pull out too much color. And then you can also use a gel pen to do bright, shiny spots on the hair. It just kind of gives it a little bit of a finished look. And I thought, oh, my fairy ought to have some wings. So I just went in and kind of just freehanded in a little wing with some yellow and some green. And you can see when I put the yellow in and then I put the green on top, it like blended right in. So I did have to let that set up and go in with a really dark green to put the little spots on the wings. And then I can fill in with this lighter green, and everything just really layers and blends well. I wouldn't hesitate to recommend these markers. I don't know, usually most big box stores carry the Royal and Langnickel products, so you shouldn't have too much trouble finding them once they're available, but my contact over there said they are hitting stores, and it's okay if I share my projects with them. So that's what I'm doing now. And I had to re-record it because I actually did record this when I first did it, and it was like around Thanksgiving time, and I was talking about Thanksgiving, and it's like, that makes no sense now because now it's January. I like to add some, like if I have a big blank area like the background of this, I like to add some doodles, and that's what I'm doing here, just putting some kind of like glittery, I call them glittery lines because they're kind of like dashed and dotted lines, just to give some kind of like magic sparkle to my little fairy here. And I thought, boy, it'd be kind of fun to try out the Royal and Langnickel colored pencils too and add them into the background. So if you've never used the Royal and Langnickel colored pencils, they are a very hard pencil. They are not as dark as like your Prismacolor or your Derwent colored pencils. They are a student grade colored pencil. They are very inexpensive, but I just want to let you know that if you're getting these, they are definitely more designed for people learning, for students. They layer really well though, so if you do like to do techniques where you layer and layer and layer your colored pencils, they will be really good for that because they don't leave behind a lot of wax. They're a little harder and drier. And I'm just using them for some just subtle shading because I didn't have that many colors of markers, so by using like a pale blue or a pale purple, I could glaze on a shadow over my markers and it looks really nice and natural. So these would be like the pencils you would use for your under sketching, your under drawing, and then you could layer over with waxier pencils without worrying about clogging the tooth of your paper. Also, this is super smooth marker paper, so it's only going to grab so much pencil. So whatever you do with colored pencils on marker paper is going to be really light anyway, no matter what brand you use, because it doesn't have the tooth. It doesn't have much to grab the media off the stick. And I'm just kind of going in with some more markers and pen just to see those little final highlights, and that does it. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this, and if you have any questions about the new Azure markers from Royal and Langnickel, let me know in the comments below and I'll help you out if I can. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.